Now, welcome to another weekend ramble, where this time our topic is.
So I found this article where George R. R. Martin kind of talked about Hollywood screenwriters and what he thinks of what they do these days.
Okay. He's had some interesting things to say in the past about
Right.
this kind of thing, so I'm guessing it's along the same lines, or
Anyone
he's
who's
changed his tune.
unfamiliar, George R. R. Martin is the creator of the source material for Game of Thrones, The House of the Dragon, as well as he's got many, many other works.
Yeah, and we're still waiting for the Winds of Winter.
Hey, don't tell him that. He gets
10.
upset.
I know he gets mad every time somebody brings it up
upset.
because he promised it would be done years ago, and yeah.
And as it turns out, and I'm not terribly surprised by this, he is not a fan of writers altering the source material for adaptations.
A surprise to be sure. No, not at
No,
all.
it's not really a surprise. What he said is television and film are ultimately collaborative. You always have the director and the actors, and of course, the studio will have executives. They give the notes and all that, and you have to deal with all that, which some people do better than others. The hard part about collaborating is not so much them, but I find, speaking only for myself here, not for Joe, is dealing with the other writers. They're adapting your book or your story, and they hire someone else to do it. And there's a phrase that they empower this writer to, okay, take The Great Gatsby, but make it your own. And I don't want anyone to make The Great Gatsby their own.
Well, that's the weird thing about it. Why would you take something it's a classic for a reason, right?
Mm-hmm.
There was something about it already that was above and beyond, hence the reason it has endured for generations at this point. So what makes you think you're going to come in and reimagine it and make it better somehow? I've never understood that.
He goes on to say, I think I may be a minority in this case here, that other people don't mind that at all. But I think in most of the cases where a Hollywood screenwriter makes something their own, that they improve it, I think in the majority of cases it's the opposite.
I can't think of anything off the top of my head that is a reimagining that is superior to the original.
It's a hard thing to do. The reason that they want to make this thing or remake this thing for the screen is because it was successful in its other media,
Yeah.
right?
Well, yeah, I'm not saying that we haven't had successful translations
Mm-hmm.
from comic book or novel or even a television show that got turned into this or that
And there's a difference. I will just preface this out ahead of time. There is a difference between taking something and modernizing it and taking something and trying to tell it but with your own spin. Because think of a Cinderella story. That's been retold 100 times in different settings. And
That's
it
almost
still
like a
follows,
genre at this point. Yeah, you
it
know what I
still
mean?
follows the regular premise of the Cinderella story.
Yeah.
They're not going, no, I'm going to take it and we're going to actually make it so that the stepsisters are really great. And
that-
Cinderella's the jerk.
Yeah, that would be kind of a nice change, but in that case, I'm all for it. But seriously, I don't know why we always have to take old things and be like, I'm going to put my own spin on it and it's going to be better. I mean, I'm not saying it's impossible, and there's probably an example. Someone will probably put an example. But I don't think we should constantly be trying to take the work of others and say, I'm going to change it and alter it and make it my own. I think that's just disrespectful a lot of the time. It's a different thing if you want to pay homage to it, like the Lord of the Rings, for example. If you go back and listen to the things Peter Jackson was saying, he's talking about, hey, we don't want to change Tolkien's work. Who are we to change his work? What we want to do is take it and try to be as accurate as we possibly can. Are there differences? Yes, but most of those differences are for the benefit of it being turned into 3 movies.
Absolutely. I mean, look at the Harry Potter franchise. They couldn't follow that word for word, page for page. It would have been too long. They have to shorten and they...
Sorry.
Well, you know what? They have to shorten it and try and keep the main plot points to keep the story flowing.
Yeah, which is one of the things we were talking about
But
this earlier.
they didn't make it their own. Martin has also said in the past, he does have a blog. He took down this comment, but he was describing how he was upset with HBO's adaptation of House of the Dragon, saying that there's a butterfly effect happening. He says, there are larger and more toxic butterflies to come if House of the Dragon goes ahead with some of its changes being contemplated for seasons 3 and 4. He's kind of upset about that whole thing because when you change something, a key story element in the past, because you feel like it or you're making it your own, it alters where the story's going to go.
Pray they alter it no further.
Didn't we see that already happening? I mean, anyone who's read the Game of Thrones series knows that there are quite a number of facts that did not make it into the show.
It's so peculiar because the first book and the first season are so close, it's uncanny. Because I watched I'd never really heard of Game of Thrones, to be honest, until the HBO series, and then I watched season 1. I'm like, oh my god, this is amazing. And there's books, there's 5 of them. So I went back and I read the first book, and I'm like, wow. A lot of the times it's word for word, beat for beat from the book. I mean, not perfect, mind you, but it's so close, it's uncanny. And then as it goes on, it just strays further and further away.
Funny how that works.
Yeah.
Another interesting thing to note is when people haven't read the source material, they don't see the problem.
A sort of example for me, though it's not taken from a book or anything, would be Avatar: The Last Airbender, which just had a series on Netflix, which I really enjoyed because I've seen the original animated series like one time. I really liked it. I don't remember everything. I'm not like that hardcore fan of it.
You've only seen it once.
Exactly. And we kind of watched it here and there because that's just our life. So I don't have like this major attachment to it. I really enjoyed it. I remember most of it, right? So when I watched the series on Netflix, I'm like, oh, this is really good. This is a lot like the original. And
you caught the beat for beats that they made sure to include, the ones that would stick out.
Yeah, yet I've heard other people tell me like, no, it's totally, this is all wrong, that's all wrong. And I'm like, I respect you because I'll do the same thing with Star Wars a lot of the time where like, I know this so well and you change this little thing and oh my God, what are you doing? So it's all a matter of, as you were saying, how much you actually know the material too.
How much you know and enjoyed the original source material. It's a proud perspective.
Yes.
There's a book, and I've referenced it, I think, in a past video. It's called Blood and Chocolate, and it's a short story. It's about werewolves and humans and stuff. Very short story. The book, they actually adapted it into a movie. The movie and the book have entirely different endings.
Like I Am Legend. You brought that one up too.
Oh, yeah,
I've never read the short story, but yeah, I've seen the movie.
It's another short story, and I like the ending of the short story better because it was less predictable to me.
Because he was the bad... Oh, I guess I'm spoiling it, but he was the bad guy, kind of?
In the movie that came out, Will Smith was the hero saving humanity, presenting like a cure or whatever, protecting him from these evil, scary vampires. But in the book, yes, there were the evil, crazy vampires, but there was also, beneath that, a vampire society who was terrified of him, that he would pull them out of their hiding spots and kill them during the day when they were vulnerable. So they ended up like trying him for murder. It was a very interesting take because they were pretty much seen as just the next evolution of humanity, and he's the one who didn't fit in. So, different story, different take. Kind of relating this to Star Wars, you could say when they bring in a new director in the middle of a trilogy and tell them, make it your own. Do what you want with Star Wars.
What could you ever be referencing?
Well, isn't that what they're going to tell Taika Waititi to do?
Oh, yeah, make it your own.
Make it your own, Taika. Bring your own crazy... And some people can fit their own visions into Star Wars well.
Yeah.
Some people cannot, and they mess up a trilogy.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that I'm disagreeing with you about that, but I mean, it is a little different because Star Wars, sometimes you come in and you're chiseling out your own little corner of the galaxy, your own little time period, your own little story. It's not necessarily like you're taking someone else's work and redoing it. But it's a little different when we're talking like, here's a story, a beloved classic, and now someone else is going to come in, or even if it's just like George R.R. Martin and his stories, like why would you think you're going to do it better than he did?
Because you're counting on people not having read the source material, and that you assume that they will like your inclusions more than they would have liked what he wrote.
Yeah, like Rings of Power.
And that's kind of offensive to the original author, especially when they're still alive to critique you on.
Yeah, like Rings of Power might be the ultimate example for me. Like it's a bastardization of Tolkien's work. It's not the same. It's so far off that you're like, why just make your own thing? If you're going to go that far off the beaten path, if you're going to change so much, make your own damn thing, and then do whatever you want with it. And no one's going to be like, hey, you change this or you change it. They're not going to care, which is the problem.
Right. It's the same problem that even Henry Cavill was pointing out in the Witcher series, one of the reasons he left. Because they were not following or being true to the source material, that they were spending more time on other things and other part points that aren't in the original books.
Yeah, well, I agree with that. What I was going to say is the problem is like when you try to make your own thing, a lot of the times nobody cares. So what they want to do is they take these old properties or these beloved properties and they make them their own because they know people are going to care. Whereas if they tried to do their own thing, no one is.
It makes you worry when you hear about all the video game remakes and all the stuff that are going to be coming, like the Zelda.
The Zelda movie?
Make it your own.
Don't make Zelda your own.
Link is now Princess Zelda, and Zelda is now Link.
I love Zelda for the record. I've since game 1 on the NES all those years ago, almost 40 years ago. Oh my goodness gracious. Yeah, I've been there since the beginning. So please don't mess up that movie. But for now, I think that's going to be all we got for you this time. So it's your turn. Take to the comments below. Join the conversation. Tell us what you think about this topic. Tell us what you think about reimagining versus paying homage and
Tell
all
us
that.
about a series that you think did it right and a series
Yeah,
you
by all
think
means.
did it wrong. Be it
Yeah.
from video game, book, other TV show, or movie that they readapted and reimagined.
Yeah, give us some examples. Like I said, for me, Rings of Power is the ultimate example of if it going wrong. So give us some ones that I'm not thinking of that did it right.
Mhm.
But whatever the case may be, leave those comments below. Let's talk some Star Wars and other stuff. And until next time, thanks for watching.